friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. It is Wednesday, April 20th, I believe. Let me double check that. Yes, April 20th. And we jammed last night at Dickey's Barbecue in Rollo. It was just the three of us. It was just Beverly and Gary and myself. Gary on guitar, Beverly switched over to bass. And of course I was on the chili dipper, the mandolin. And it was a pretty decent little jam. We're rusty though, I gotta be honest. I'm just being honest, we're a little rusty. But we're eventually getting it cleaned up and we're starting to get it back together. I think it's going to turn out just fine. One of the things that happened last night was someone requested a song. Joyce, by the way. Joyce watches these videos, so hello Joyce. She requested a song that I wrote years ago. It's just the only silly song I ever wrote. And I fumbled my way through it. I didn't do it real well because when you don't do them very often, the songs you write, believe it or not, are the hardest ones to remember. At least they are for me. That may not be true for everyone. But I thought I'd tell you the story of this song and then play a little bit of it for you here. I think I played the song once on the channel before, but with 800 videos out there, good luck finding it. I don't even know which video it was attached to. So I wanted to tell you the story about how I came to write this, and then I'll sing it for you. I was at a jam session in Doolittle, Missouri. This was a jam session at the local firehouse at Doolittle. Anyway, I was leaving the firehouse this one night, and this was around the turn of the century there, 2000-ish. I don't know what year exactly. And as I was passing through the door of the firehouse going out, just the side man door there, I was halfway through the doors. I felt somebody grab my arm and pull me back in. And he was one of the jammers. I didn't know him very well, but he played a dobro, and now I can't think of his name again. You know me and names. Doesn't really matter. He stopped me and he says, "Hey, I got to ask you something before you leave." And I said, "What's that?" He says, "I heard you could write a song about anything." And I said, "Well, I don't know where you heard that, but I have written a lot of songs." He says, "Well, I've been stumped on this song. I've been trying to write it for years now, and I can't get past the first line." I said, "Well, it must be a humdinger of a first line." And he says, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Well, what is it?" He says, "Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there, you wished you weren't?" I said, "Yeah, that's quite a mouthful." And I said, "I'll see what I can do, And so I left and I headed home. Now, just so you know, it's a mile up to the highway, and then it's 7 miles down the highway, and then it's 3 miles back here to my farm. So 11 miles, basically. And when I got to the farm, I was finished with the song. So here's what I wrote. As I told you, it's the only silly song I ever wrote. I'll also throw in a little tidbit here. There's one line in there that I threw in there just kind of like a little extra tidbit that's, it's kind of like reading between the lines of something that relates to me, and we'll see if you can pick that line out. I'm pretty sure you can, those of you who have been following me for a long time. But anyway, I threw this one line in this song just because it relates kind of to my real life. Very little of the rest of the song relates to my real life, just so you know. All right, here we go. Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there, you wished you weren't? Like the doctor's office or the DMV or somewhere that you've worked. Well, that's my life story, and if you listen to my sad tale, I'm gonna tell you why I had to spend 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. You see, I went to the doctor's office, 'cause that's where my baby worked. And I was fixing to surprise her, so I put on my best shirt. But when I got to the doctor's office, well, it was me that got surprised. 'Cause there she sat on the doctor's lap, wearing nothing but her big blue eyes. Well, she jumped up and she turned real red, and that was a color I could see. And it was just as well, 'cause now there was nothing between that old doc and me. So I went for my knife, then I thought twice, and I grabbed an old bedpan, and I swung it like Mighty Casey. I was aiming for the grandstand. Now the coroner's report told it all real well, and I was charged with fumicide. And that's a combination of the bedpan and old-fashioned homicide. Well, the judge just laughed and threw the book at me, but then I guess he had a second thought. And that was the break in the case for me, 'cause 10 years was all I got. Have you ever wished you were somewhere else, but when you got there you wished you weren't? Well, that's my whole life story, and it kept me from finishing first. I must be a victim of circumstance. You've heard my sad tale. Now you know why I spent 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. I guess I'm lucky I only spent 10 years in the Tupelo County Jail. Well, did you pick out the line that relates to me? And then she jumped up and she turned real red, and that was a color I could see. I had to throw that in there, being a colorblind person, you know. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I think that's the only silly song I ever wrote. I've written dozens upon dozens upon dozens of songs. In fact, I ran across a bunch of them the other day, and honestly, I couldn't even remember the melody to most of them. So it's terrible. Yeah, mind is a terrible thing to waste. Okay, well, I actually had to go to an agenda today because I got so many things I want to cover with you. Let's show you the Gibson and show you where it's at right now. Well, believe it or not, it's already been stripped and restained and refinished. That's no kidding. I'm not joking about it. It only took me about 1 hour to finish stripping it off totally, and that included sanding it. And then it only took me about 15 or 20 minutes to restain it, and then another 10 or 15 minutes to kind of get it ready to spray, just kind of like cleaning up the binding and different things. And I have sprayed it with the clear shellac. And yeah, it did about the same thing. It's not quite the same. I mean, because the lacquer covered more of it, it seemed like, but the lacquer had little pinholes in it where all the grain holes are in the wood. This actually left all the grain lines and everything so far, and I put about 5 coats of shellac on this. I was trying to flood it so it would cover, you know. Yeah. This guitar has my number. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't call it tacky, but it's the least little bit maybe tacky, but that shellac kind of always feels that way to me. So I mean, it feels pretty dry up here. I'm holding the neck, and I don't really feel like I'm sticking to it, and I'm touching it here. I don't feel like I'm sticking to it, yet it doesn't feel completely cured yet either. I don't know. I may give it another day and then sand this down and try to put some more on it. Yeah, this guitar hates me. You know, I know they can't think, but this one does. You can believe what you want. So I went and bought a brand new can of clear shellac. It's going to take a little bit more. Yeah. Do you know why I say it's not easy being me? I know we all have our things to bear, you know, and that one's definitely one of mine right now anyway. I got a nice email. Now, I thought I'd just go ahead and read a little bit of this email to you. I've actually got it right here on my tablet. I'm going to be reading it off of the tablet. This just came from a random viewer. He signed it Guy, G-U-Y, so I assume that's his first name. Guy expressed a number of sentiments here, and quite honestly, I get this more than you would ever think. When I started this channel, roughly 10 years ago. I don't even know when I started it, to be truthful. I never, ever thought it would have the impact on various people that it seems to have, and people tell me all the time it has this kind of impact on their life. And, I was just thought, well, I'll just show people how I do these things, and, maybe it'll help somebody and maybe it'll bring in a little business. Those were the only two thoughts I had at all when I started this. He says, hello, I've been binge watching your videos on YouTube, and all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm 47 years old and have really bad depression. I have wandered through life so far with no direction and no real goals. I've had a tough life, to say the least. But after your vids, I now find a passion in guitars. I've always liked them and admired people who can play them. While I cannot play, I have collected a few guitars, and he sent a picture, and I'll just show you the picture. If I can easily include this in the video, I will, but anyway, he goes on to say, I've decided that even though I'm almost 50, I want to be a luthier. And all I can say is thank you for unknowingly giving me a direction. He goes on to pay a few compliments, very nice. He says he hopes to someday say that he could be 1/4 of the luthier that he's, seen in me. Well, I just say thank you, Guy. God bless you. I really hope that you're very successful, and I hope you do find that you can use this as a path for your life. It's a good path. There's no doubt about that. It has its challenges. Gibson. But and quite honestly, I couldn't even count how many letters like that I've received over the years. You would be surprised how many I have received. And it's very heartwarming. It's humbling, and it's neat to think that it may really actually have an impact on someone's life and help them out. Not only that, but I got just dozens upon dozens of notes during the COVID thing when people were shut in, and they were telling me how it kind of lightened their day and helped them out, and they were binge watching the videos, etc. So anyway, to all of you, thank you so much. I am humbled. It goes both ways, trust me. Your feedback really does help me a lot and makes me feel much better about what I'm doing and the challenges that I end up facing, and just like this Gibson thing. I mean, that's one of those things that just make you pull your hair out. But I get a lot of support from you guys, and I do really appreciate it. Okay, moving on here. On my agenda, I don't think I mentioned the Mountain View trip yet, but we are all going down to Mountain View June 9th through the 12th. The 9th is a Thursday, so we'll get down there Thursday midday, and then we'll leave on Sunday morning. It's a good time, and when I say we are all going down there, that would be my band and a number of other folks from the Rolla area that just like to jam. And then I know my buddy Bruce from Mississippi will be there, and I imagine Jesse Burgess, who I met there last year, will probably be there again. And then I know Bo Horn, I believe is his last name, and I think he's from Louisiana, and I believe he'll be there again. So, and these are folks that just watch the channel and come down there and jam and stuff. And there's, we saw quite a few other folks that watched the channel there last year that were not necessarily jammers, they just came for the fun. If you want to come down to that, when we get closer to the date, send me a email, and I will send you my text number where you can find us when we're down there, because we're liable to be anywhere. We move around and we jam at various and sundry locations, and if you send me your information, I'll be sure to text you where we're at. The last couple of things I wanted to mention is that we have new songs out on the website. So if you go to my website, rosastringworks.com, and then you click on Songs for Sale tab at the top, then you'll see there's over 40 songs on there now, 46 I think. Most of those are songs that were on my prior CDs. So most of them do not have Emery on them, the new ones I'm talking about. So Emery's out there, but she's her songs have remained the same. I don't think we've added anything new for her for a while, and I'm not sure we have anything to add. If we did, I'd be adding it. And then lastly, Alan Dust, the sander guy, he has sent me PDF plans to build those sanders for yourself. I plan to make them available on my website, and they'll probably be on the shopping page, and it will look like you're purchasing it, but it's a zero cost. So you'll have to go through the whole purchase procedure to get the plans, but you won't pay anything. You don't have to put a credit card in or anything, but you will have to add it to your shopping cart and then view your shopping cart and then order it and say that you're making the purchase, etc. And then you will get emails back, and the emails will have a download link to download the plans. So, like I said, there will be no charge for it, but hopefully I'll be able to get that out there today yet. But if not today, hopefully at least in the next couple of days. It depends on how many problems I have getting it to happen. Right now, it seems like it's going to work okay, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. But you know how computers are, and you know how Murphy's Law is. I meant Rosa's Law. Anything can happen, trust me. I believe I've covered everything I had on here. You have any questions for me? like I can hear you. If you do have something you want me to cover in these daily vlogs, well, just put it in the comments. I do try to read them. I don't read all of the comments anymore. I just can't keep up. But I'll read the first few hours worth of comments. So if you get, your comment in there fairly early, there's a good chance I'll see it. And that's about all I can say. And that's the name of that tune. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.